Hey everybody, welcome to a video. My goal today is to show you how to do sort of a do-it-yourself tripod setup for hyperlapses. A hyperlapse is basically a time lapse that moves the camera. In this case, we're going to be doing a hyperlapse that allows you to pan the camera left or right horizontally. So you'll need a tripod. In this case, I have this cheap Velbon that I think came from Salvation Army. I think it's a fluid head, supposedly. Fluid head tripod. It's made out of plastic, which is a good thing because we're going to have to do some drilling. Next, you're going to need a drill, some sort of driver. This is a pretty simple one. And drill bits. The drill bits are going to depend on the size of the screw, the bolt, to which the tripod head mounts. So I'm going to take this tripod head off. I'm going to unscrew it off. And this reveals that the bolt inside is roughly a quarter inch bolt right here. That means we need a roughly a quarter-inch drill bit. Next, you're going to need a protractor. This is a protractor I got at Office Depot. This is a 6-inch one. The bigger the protractor, the better. Don't go smaller than 6 inches. If you can find a bigger one, that's awesome. I couldn't. We're going to use this to be able to measure the intervals between each of our photos we take. And last but not least, you will need needles. Needles, okay, so I have a 5-inch needle and like a 2.5-inch needle here. I've tried them both. Anything less than 2.5 for this size of a protractor is too small, and it's all just going to depend. So you want the needle to be able to be long enough to where it can reach from the center of your protractor to the edge of it. If you don't know where to buy needles or get these kind of needles, I got these real long ones from Amazon. They're called doll needles, apparently. Okay, so first things first, let's drill a hole in this protractor. This protractor already has a hole. Make sure this hole is from the factory is right in the center of this line. Some of them are a little bit offset, so I had to pick this one myself. We got the drill bit, 1/4 inch, and I'm basically going to start drilling a hole in here. Of course, be careful. Alright, hole is perfect size, it fits. Essentially, if you want to, you can take your tripod head and screw it back onto your tripod legs. This will sort of show you what I'm going for here. So imagine this. Here's your setup. I'm going to loosen this bolt so it allows me to pan the tripod head. Imagine you're taking photos and you have a needle that points to each of these degrees. You take one photo, you move it to the right 1 degree, take another photo. Essentially you have 180 photo opportunities for 180 degrees, obviously. Now, most time lapses, if you want them to be at least like, I don't know, 15 seconds long, you're going to need probably more than 180 photos. In this case, what you can try to do is you can try to pan the tripod head like 1/2 degree. And that's going to be hard because you're going to be doing a little bit of guesswork. But I want to say this, I've tried it before at night with the lamp on my head. And you know what, it works. And it's pretty cool. So, it's definitely worth a try. So the next task is to attach a needle to the top of the tripod, the part of the tripod that actually pans. So you don't want to attach it to this part down here. If you notice, when I pan the tripod, we need the part that actually moves, so this part here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out a way to attach the needle to it. And in this case, I'm going to drill a little hole the size of I'm using a drill bit that's about the size of the needle. Pretty small drill bit. And I'm going to insert the needle into the hole and maybe use some kind of glue or whatever you got to make the needle stay, and try to make it as straight as physically possible. Take the tripod head right back off. We don't need the tripod legs anymore for now. So to really figure out where you want to insert this needle, what I would do is I would align the line on the stationary part of the tripod with the other line. That we get something to go off of. And I'm going to be doing it from this sort of side right here. The needle is going to be sticking out kind of like that. I'm going to have my protractor here. Use long needle, short needle, whatever. And I want to be able to insert the needle as centered as possible. That way it's more accurate along with the protractor. So I'm using this line to basically determine the center of this area. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my small drill bit and start drilling. So the way my tripod is set up, in between the plastic eventually you get to metal, and you really can't drill any further than that. which is fine. We don't need to drill that far. The goal is to be able to drill enough to stick the needle in and then be able to somehow permanently attach that needle. So you could use like super glue, Gorilla Glue, hot glue, I don't care what you use as long as it works. So basically the goal is to put that kind of glue in here and then see where it lines up with the protractor. I'm gonna go ahead and attach the head back on to show you guys something. So this is the hole I drilled. I'm sort of gonna temporarily place this needle in the hole. And here's what we got going on. It's not permanently in there yet, but essentially this is the principle. You're gonna be able to see this needle pan across each of these degree increments. So say you take a photo at the first degree, move it a degree, take another photo. You're gonna notice that one of your objectives or goals is to be able to mount this needle in a way where it's slanted down towards the protractor, basically to where it's almost touching the protractor. You don't want it straight out because you're gonna have like a 3/4 inch gap or whatever between the needle and the protractor. It's just gonna be that much more difficult to tell where you're at. So as you can see, I've placed the needle and I've sort of mounted it in a way where it's as accurate as possible, and it's also slanted down towards the protractor. Next thing I need to do is I need to glue it somehow. So I'm going to be using this epoxy. It's a 5-minute epoxy. You can use whatever you want, honestly. 5-minute epoxy kind of gives me the liberty of adjusting it before it gets too hard. And you can just, if you're using epoxy, I usually use like a disposable plate or something, but in this case I'm using an old piece of cardboard. I'll go ahead and mix it. Got it as well mixed as I can, probably. I'll go ahead and just put a drop. You can, if you can, remove the needle from the hole and insert the glue, sort of put a drop of glue in the hole and then put the needle in. That's probably going to be better. In my case, I don't want to do that because I'll have to readjust the entire process. Alright, so here's the finished product. Got the camera on, and I can position the needle towards the first degree, take a photo, move it just a tiny bit to the second degree, take a photo, third degree, and I can keep doing this for 180 times. Or, like I said, you could do a half a degree increment. It's a little harder, but it's possible, and you can get 360 shots. Also, of course, try to use an intervalometer controller. That way you don't have to actually touch the shutter button, but you probably know that if you've made time lapses before.